Right, so diversity is probably one of the bigger challenges that our industry is facing, and I think it's probably a well-known fact that there is quite a few groups of underrepresented people. So today, Leanne and I will talk about what we do in terms of diversity to encourage it, what we would suggest, if people got any questions, if they need help, just to support a positive development in the games industry when it comes to diversity. But first of all, I want to do a quick intro so that you know who you're actually dealing with. So my name is Marion Feldhofer. I'm SVP for Corporate Partnerships and Business Development at Agreement Gaming. I have about 15 years of experience in the tech industry under my belt, and I happened to slip into the games industry about 2 years ago, and I'm very, very happy about this. And this is my lovely co-host, Leanne.
Hi everyone, hope you're having a great show. Yeah, so my name's Leanne Peppiatt, and I am the PR and events manager at Splash Damage, and we're a studio based over in Bromley, and we create games like Gears of War, Halo, and also our own IP like Dirty Bomb. And myself, I have 7 years now in the games industry.
Brilliant. So, very warm welcome to everyone in here. We're very happy to have you. We also welcome a little bit of engagement, so don't be shy. We might be asking questions. Raise your hands, say something. Actually, yeah, we want to encourage that a little bit. Right, so Leanne, let's kick this off. Why don't you just tell us, how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So growing up, I was absolutely obsessed with games. I remember sort of huddling around my family's PC, my family's Acorn PC in the early 90s, playing games like Pac-Man or Snapper, if you want to be specific, and up into the late 90s, playing games like Tomb Raider, and I was absolutely obsessed, and I would play for as long as my parents would allow me. But at that point in time, I never knew that I could work in the games industry. I didn't know it existed at all. So it's an absolute dream come true to be sat here today and to work in an industry that I've sort of grown to love and understand.
That sounds actually awesome. So how did you actually then feel when you entered the industry, as a professional, basically working in the place of your childhood dreams?
Yeah, so when I first joined, I was really, really welcomed. I made great friends straight off the bat. But as my career started to develop, I started to kind of realise more and more that I tended to be the only woman in the meeting rooms. Mm-hmm. And then sort of when I went out to sort of conferences like E3, Gamescom, GDC, I found that there weren't really many other women to network with. So that kind of got me thinking about diversity and how the industry could be a little bit better, and that's kind of why we're here today, to think about how we can be more inclusive and get more people through the doors.
Exactly. I mean, you're addressing it right away, right? The only woman in the room, sometimes, very often. So I've heard that from many women before, and there is not really an easy solution to that. But I think before we actually talk about what we do, so what actually is diversity to you? Let's give this whole thing a little bit of a definition.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, for me, people have come up to me and said, there's not a problem with diversity in the industry. And when that happens, I kind of come back to my key point, and I believe thinking about diversity and inclusion really benefits each and every one of us. I mean, diversity covers so many things. It can mean the person with disability at work is feeling they're not getting the right access to tools and training. It can mean minority groups or people in minority groups are thinking, I don't really see any role models here, and I'm thinking about dipping out of the industry and going somewhere else. And it can also mean the new dad who's really stressed out and he's really in need of flexible working hours, but he's really scared of asking for that in case he might miss out on key meetings or, ruin his opportunities of career development. So it's really important. And beyond that, it really is about diversity of thought as well, and sort of getting everyone engaged in meetings and getting all those ideas across so we can sort of make the best games and make the best products we can. So yeah, and beyond that, I know diversity, when you start thinking about it, start implementing it, it can really become overwhelming. There are just a million things to think about, things like neurodiversity, things like your social events, what do they look like? Are you truly being inclusive, or are you often just at the bar? Does everyone have a fair access of getting to these events and networking? So yeah, even looking at like sort of accessibility in games as well, there's just so many things. But getting together at places like this and networking and starting to break it down can start to help you kind of move forward with your diversity program.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you, and I've been thinking about the whole kind of topic of diversity myself lately, and I think diversity means inclusivity, and it doesn't only cover gender, it covers religion, it covers race, it covers accessibility and tools, as you say, right? And I truly believe that we need to bring everybody on board with all of this, irrespective of the differences that may seem to divide us at times. I think it's important to allow individuality and celebrate all of these differences that we have together, right? So that's a little bit the whole kind of idea of being diverse means accepting differences but not letting them divide you, but bring everyone together. And to be honest with you, I've been thinking about this quite a bit. My dream is that, you know, further down the line in the future, diversity won't be a topic any longer because it is there. It's not something that we have to discuss, it's not something where we have to find measurements, it's not something where we need to find activities and you know, suggestions on how to implement it. It is there, and that's kind of where I'd like to go with this. So I think there are many ways to look at diversity, right? So, but with that in mind, let's go to you and to Splash Damage, right? So, in 2018, you took up the mantle as Splash Damage Diversity and Inclusivity Board Chief. So you've set up a Women in Splash Damage group. How did that come about?
Yeah, sure. So about 18 months ago, I was given the opportunity to run a diversity programme at Splash Damage, and it's the first time we've really implemented something like this. So I've been heading up a team, and we look at so many different things together. We look at our recruitment practices, so we look at, okay, are our interview panels diverse? Do we get a wide range of people interviewing candidates, especially at the cultural fit stage as well, to make sure that unconscious bias is not seeping in.
Yeah.
And we look at, as I mentioned, accessibility best practices in our games as well, and there's just so much to do there. It's, you know, a huge amount of important work. And we look at sort of career progression for everyone, looking at that across everyone, make sure there's a career progression for each and every person, regardless of their background and where they've come from. And also, you know, just fostering an inclusive environment. So sitting down with the core team, sitting down with the facilities team, sitting down with the HR team and going, let's just look at everything with the lens of diversity and make sure that we're being the best that we can be. So yeah, we've done a lot of hard work, but one of the kind of key things that I think have come out of this diversity programme is we now have 3 thriving communities. And so we have a BAME group, we have an LGBTQ+ group, and we have a Women at Splash Damage group as well.
Brilliant.
So yeah, they're just starting to sort of get going as well. So that's been really key to this programme.
Super. So do you want to give the audience a little bit of an idea of what kind of activities you're actually spearheading? So it's just to know what that actually means and how this is implemented? Yeah,
so for me, the thing I'm probably most proud of is sort of getting the Women at Splash Damage group going. So when you think about a studio like Splash Damage, there's about 350 to 400 people in that building, or spread across 2 buildings. And we only have sort of 11-12% women there. Yeah. So quite quickly, women are not actually seeing each other day to day, so they're not networking. And I think networking is really key to career development, making those key engagements with your peers and things like that. So getting them together. Yeah, exactly. It's really important, and also it's important with retention as well. Yeah. People meet each other, making friends and everything else. So we get together every single month, and yes, we do network, but alongside that we offer training within that group, and we encourage people to go up for awards as well. So it's really nice to see women encouraging each other to go up for different games industry awards, helping each other with pitches, and just being there when, you know, there might be an issue that someone wants to discuss.
Engage each other.
Exactly.
To speak at events.
Yeah, that's sort of, yeah, exactly. And so that's been super important. But we've actually just started taking that to the next level. So we started using Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In circles. So I don't know if you're familiar with the book Lean In, but you can now actually go online right now and you can set this up. That is basically, I think it's called leanin.org, and you can download workshops, training workshops that you can get together, do this with groups right now. And I should say as well that we do open this group up fully, so it is open to you regardless of your gender, because I think allyship in diversity programmes are super important. You're just not going to make those changes if you don't engage the people that can make the difference across the business. So it's fully open, and that's been hugely successful for us. So.
That sounds awesome, I have to say. So congratulations to all of these efforts you've made so far. I'm crossing my fingers for you. I'd be interested in the audience. Who else is working in a place that kind of encourages these kind of activities and who runs these activities? Brilliant. Can I ask you? So what's your name and where you work?
Lisa, I work at Volga. We have similar groups like you just mentioned. We have also an LGBT group. I think every Gamescom we host a LGBT party one of the evenings.
Amazing.
We organize, what do we call it, gamers nights in our office in Berlin.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know the actual number, but I think on like several times per year we present how much women represent the overall company, and it's, I don't remember the actual number, but it's always above average in the gaming industry, so that's good.
Well done.
We try to advocate to get more women in higher positions.
Yes, that's awesome.
Actually, yeah, we do a lot. I'm very happy with all the efforts that Wooga puts in. Yeah.
Congratulations. And I think we had another lady over there. Yes? Would you mind telling us a little bit about that? Sorry, the lady with the glasses.
Oh, there.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm from Big Pixel Studios.
Okay.
We currently have a women's group, but we also try and host other organisations as well. So we've got.
You just did the ops. Were you doing the ops networking event?
Yes.
Yes, that's where I've met you. Yeah.
I'm like a serial event organiser.
Yes.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
Well done.
But we found that we've got quite a nice open plan studio and lots of event space, so we contacted groups that didn't have a secure space, so we now host black female coders every month and meet up and code. We found that's kind of worked with us quite well.
Brilliant. Did we have anyone else raising their hand? In the back? Yes, please.
So I work for Fusebox Games. I'm a junior narrative developer, and we have an open WhatsApp group, so there's no pressure, no anxiety to pop in as a woman of colour. We have organised meetings. We have like a yoga studio that we intended to use for yoga, but now it's just become movie night. So everyone just brings snacks and eats. But I think the main thing is there's no expectation, because I think a lot of people forget about the neurotypicality in inclusion and diversity. So there's no pressure, just come in.
Yes.
And it's just nice because it's, even in our games, we're including women in the Love Island games. You can romance women, so
Yeah. It sounds really awesome, and I have to say, I mean, that just gives you a bit of an idea how far we've come, right? Because I think that at some point we should all also stop for a moment and just look back and look at where we've been a few years ago, where we are today, to celebrate that. And then we can still kind of go forward and, aim for better and more, that's fine. But just breathe for a moment and just say thanks for where we're coming from. Yeah, so, Leanne, just one more question on that. If there is, people in the room and they say, okay, we want to, as a company, encourage that as well, and want to enable this. So how would you, to become more diverse in general, what would you suggest how they start? What to do?
Yeah, I think I kind of look at this in a few key areas. Number one is sort of network. There's going to be companies here today and who've kind of been there and done that. So reach out to them, kind of learn what worked for them, so you don't kind of make the same mistakes at your studio. And then next, sort of always look at the data. It can get really hard, but we do know when we look at the data that diverse companies, they are more profitable, they are more successful time and time again. So dig that data out, things like the McKinsey report, get that in front of your leadership team. When you're struggling to get budget for something, or you believe in something that you want to get kicked off but people aren't quite sure, get that data out, because it is super important for making change. And then there's always like low-hanging fruit work, I think, in a company that anyone can get started on. What does your website look like, for example? Are you really showing a broad range of people on there? Like, that's your shop window. Are you really encouraging people to come and look at your studio or business? And things like I've talked about, like your recruitment practices as well. There's always work you can just start right now. You don't have to wait. And also, accept that it's going to be a long journey. When we look at things like we do outreach program at Splash Damage, we go to universities and schools, but we know we're not going to see results in Q1. This really is a 5-year plan, and just be okay with that, because it is great work. You might not see the results, but it is great work. And also, I always think just show up to events like this, show up to that school event, because there might be that young girl in the audience that was like me, sort of playing their games and not thinking, oh, can I work in this industry? But if they start thinking I could be a developer, then that's really what this is all about. So yeah, it's really important to show up. And I know that you, Marion, have been doing some work that goes beyond sort of businesses and communities, and you've been looking at some sustainable diversity as well. So.
Yeah, that's right. So I've been kind of digging into this a little bit, and I realized that with everything that, like you at Splash Damage, that you guys are doing, this is absolutely amazing. But we also see that sometimes it just doesn't have the impact that we want it to have. And I've been thinking, so where is that coming from? And at some point I realized that I do think that we put the onus on the business to actually make a change and to be diverse. Although we sometimes forget that as a society we probably have the biggest responsibility to do so. So when you think about how kids are raised nowadays, and then they become teenagers, they go to school, they go to university, and then all of a sudden they hit the workplace, and without having been actually educated on diversity, everybody expects them to be diverse. So in my opinion, we need to start way earlier to actually educate our little ones. And I think that despite the fact that all of us probably in this room, we all think that we're not biased, or we're very open-minded, and we know exactly what we're doing. However, the reality is that there is unconscious bias out there that needs to be somehow, overcome, and that can only be done by making a conscious effort of educating our kids, give them the right toys, school uniforms, another thing. So there is quite a few examples, and I'll be putting all of this together in an article at some point, I hope. I hope you guys will read that. I think that it's a good start.
But I think it's important to mention as well, like me and Marion have kind of met through this talk, and I think, we are both on the sort of the games industry Slack and things like that, so if you do want to reach out and talk about any of these things, then, anytime. We're passionate about it, so
very.
Let's work together.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Round of applause. Thanks.